Hi everyone, thank you for joining at the scene at Shepherdstead Lane, Hayes, where the murder of my son happened 5 years ago. For me, it doesn't feel like 5 years, it feels like last week. The pain doesn't subside. The pain you experience when you're a child, it takes part of you and lives with you forever. You can put a pretend smile on, you can laugh, but inside you're always sad. Thank you for joining everyone. I want to thank everyone who sent flowers, who have visited the scene today, and who have always supported the boys. Thank you, Sheen or Sean. Thank you. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Kim. Just want to say, over there that night, the Esso garage where an altercation took place, the altercation took place after what had happened, when those in the car got out and ran from the scene and ran past the garage, and two of the boys that the car hit and who had been narrowly missed ran after them and caught one of them at the entrance of the Esso garage. The altercation was after, just in case anyone's seen the documentary and doesn't understand when that altercation happened, it was not before. That night, not just was the garage sealed off with bollards, what garages do, it was sealed off with tape. At the exit point to that garage is another camera. It's a Europarks camera. The police never even took the CCTV from it, or if they did, they hid that CCTV from us. Another thing that I want to say to the Met Police, because I know you watch my videos, that night paramedics were at the scene, weren't they? And the paramedics do not portray this to have been an accident, like you covered up and tried to portray it as. They didn't do that, did they? Even though the paramedic scenario was incorrect, they never portrayed it as an accident. And that is in official reports that hasn't been shown yet, because that's for court. On top of that, just after 11 o'clock that night, 2 males on mopeds came down and drove through intentionally the ribbon that you put up and aimed at 2 police constables on their mopeds. You did not only did you not care about our boys that night, not only did you not care about them, you didn't care about your own colleagues. Nothing happened to those on the mopeds that night that came down here, where our boys are laying murdered on the floor with devastating injuries. You didn't even care about your own colleagues that were aimed at by 2 males on mopeds who drove through the police tape on purpose and aimed at 2 coppers. And that's in official records. The corruption in this case is so deep and so dark. And I've tried to show as much evidence as I can over the last 5 years to you all, so that you would understand what happened to these 3 beautiful boys that were just innocently on their way to a birthday party. I'm not very good with distance, but about probably 600 metres just further up. They was near safety. The police told us that night that the car came down from the fire service end, which is that way, the car coming this way, which would have meant that it went down and turned around and come back and mounted the slope here, mounted the slope and drove all the way down straight on this pavement right to the end. Right to the end. That's what it did. An injustice to anybody is a threat to justice to everybody. And being on the streets for the last 5 years like I have, and meeting so many families like I have, who are all facing their own injustices, and it shouldn't be like that. We should have a justice system that we have faith in. We should have a police force that we have faith in, that do the correct thing. Not only did they let our boys down that night, they let their own families down because they condoned it and became complicit in it. This wasn't covered up because of national security, because they let them get away with it. That's not national security. We shouldn't live in a society where murder and abuse is accepted, because that's wrong, and that's not a society that anyone should want to live in. People matter and children matter. We all matter, no matter who you are. We all matter. Hi Solomon. So thank you for joining me on my live. I'm going to see if Brexit Brian will say a few words. Bear with me please. Brexit Brian. Sorry, I'm just on a live. Brexit Brian has been a supporter of our boys since I was out there as a yellow vest, where I met Brexit Brian, and he's always said of a supporter for our boys. And you know, it's very cold tonight and he's come a long way to be here. Is there anything you'd like to say, Brian?
Well, earlier I was complaining about being the oldest person in the group and having to walk 2 miles. But no, on a serious note, Tracy, I'm wanting to support your family. I'm wanting to support for justice. You know, when I first heard about the circumstances surrounding the death of these poor lads, immediately I knew that there was a reason to come out and fight for justice. I saw the way that the old Bill, the police suppressed us. Do you remember when we used to march every Saturday? Yeah. We'd see all these other demonstrations being given grace. They could sit in the middle of the road. They could do all kinds of things. But the moment we went into the road, the old Bill were jumping on us. Things like that made me confident that the establishment were fighting against your cause. And that made me more determined to want to stick it out with you.
Thank you.
And here we are 5 years later. You know, there's no giving up on this. We are not going to end until justice is fulfilled.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
That's all right, darling.
John Moore,
hello,
no
Tracy.
one who's a dear friend of mine, always supported the boys. He never knew the boys, but he just knew what was done was not right. A fantastic man who's never let me down as a friend in the last 5 years either, and always stayed by my side through thick and thin, through all the things we've had to suffer, you know, fighting this cause. Is there anything you'd like to say, John?
Tracy, I'll be fighting this for as long as I live. This is the biggest cover-up by the establishment. It's disgusting. They've silenced this in every way. The media, they won't give you an inquest. They won't give you a retrial when the MP put it to the Attorney General at the time that you should have an inquest. Now, if you look up there, we've got a street camera over the scene now. Look at it. Look, just watching the people who come to look at this scene. Now, all the cameras that were here that night were taken away. I think there's a little bit of footage from that petrol station, and there's a fire station just round the corner, and they weren't allowed at the scene. Could have saved the boys. Got the equipment. You know, the car that crashed into this wall here, they said the boys were standing at the bus stop. That's a school bus stop. It just stinks. I mean, this lady, what they throw at her, the trolls, whatever, everything. She just keeps fighting, and I'll be by your side forever.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. You know, I've been lucky enough during the last 5 years to gain some tremendous support, like I do, from all of you online who share my videos and put our boy's story out there. Because like I said earlier in the video, an injustice to one is an injustice to all of you. To all of you. And we need as much support as we can get. And I wanted to do this video for you all tonight as well, so you could see us here at the scene and remember the boys also. And as always, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the fantastic support, for all your fantastic comments that you write to me. Thank you. And if my son was here today, he would thank you too, because he was one of the most wonderful souls to ever walk this earth. No boy deserved what happened that night, and it shouldn't happen on our streets. And the people of this country should be told what is going on in the towns and the streets you live in. Take care, everyone, and my love to you all. Thank you for joining me.